Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
See just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang. Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Just Two Idiots Cup Series weekly sprint and endurance racing. Today we're at Brands Hatch Circuit for another great sprint race. It's going to be round 4 of season 6. I'm your host, James East, filling in for Mason Heimbaugh, bringing you the action today, Pete, 60 frames a second. On behalf of Team Goon Squad, let's go ahead and run through the grid here tonight. Simply Steve on the top spot, Captain CK starting second, Nick Beaver starting third, Black Bob Wallace starts fourth, Arco starting fifth, Eat My Dust starting sixth, Notivan starts seventh, Biker Pilot starting 8th, John Downey starting 9th, Prince Adam starting 10th, AJ starts 11th, Garlic Dog will be starting 12th, and it's going to be Joe Albanese rounding out the 13-car grid here today. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor, and if not, they just about always go back and watch the race again. And as a reminder, the Sprint Series sponsor is Rising Peaks Coffee. Using their website, you can get fresh beans or grind directly to your doorstep. You can visit them at risingpeakscoffee.com. And if you use the coupon code J2I, you get 15% off your next order. So check them out. Support the sponsors that are supporting us. And I believe, yes, we've got the link in the description here on YouTube. So you can quickly get your coffee ordered on the way and have those energy for the late night Just Two Idiots Cup Series. We're going to roll out behind our iRacing safety Porsche. Brands Hatch, a pretty famous, well-known raceway. I know a lot of drivers have turned laps here on other games that aren't sims, like Forza. And talking to the drivers before today's main event, some drivers were thinking, hey, this might be the first time I've ever been on this track. It's going to be interesting to see how this 13-car field is able to navigate things here today. Taking a look, for some reason it looks like we're dropping a lot of frames here. The show's fine on YouTube, so I guess we're good to go as we stay tucked in behind that iRacing safety car. Simply Steve, Captain CK, your front row. Black Bob Wallace, Nick Beaver, your second row. Eat My Dust and Urko will be on the third row here. The field forming up here. We're going to wait for that safety car to come down pit road. And fire things off for the opening sprint. Now it's going to be a 20-minute sprint, followed by a brief intermission, then a 40-minute feature here tonight at Brands Hatch, with the top 8 drivers with an inverted grid for the feature event. Safety car comes down pit road. The field is set. Looks like Joe Albanese in that O2 machine gonna hang back a little bit. And we are green flag races. The field already looks to be going 3 wide here. Steve leads the field into turn 1, but I just saw a little bit of contact. That was Black Bob Wallace. And Captain CK finds himself pointing the wrong direction. Prince Adam also involved in an incident. Just ahead of him, I think that might have been John Downey and AJ going door to door, battling for 8th. Simply Steve gets a 1.2 second breakaway as Downey and AJ having a heated battle here for 8th. Downey in the green and yellow. AJ, the black and blue car. Oh, a little bit of snap loose there from Downey. Let's go further up ahead. We've got a race for 2nd place. Nick Bieber versus Black Bob Wallace side by side. Bieber's going to take over that 2nd place spot from Wallace. Eat My Dust in hot pursuit. Now it is a 20-minute sprint race here today, so there's still plenty of time for these drivers to get into a groove. And Simply Steve looks like he's going to try and check out here as we get the intervals pulled up on the left side of your screen. It's Simply Steve, Nick Bieber, Black Bob Wallace, your top 3. Eat My Dust and Urko making up the top 5. But if we go a little bit further back, Biker Pilot has company from Notivan in the 128 machine. Oh, as we hint at 3 wide action there, I think that was AJ pressing the issue. Now Prince Adam, Captain CK coming down pit road under their own power to try and get those machines mixed back up into fighting shape. Now normally in this opening sprint race, we do not see any pit stops unless it is for damage. Oh, as soon as that skirting with the off-track limits. I think that was AJ in the 45. Oh, and AJ, another off-track excursion. Gonna lose a spot here. Joe Albanese in the O2 machine. Still very close to dipping some more tires off the grass. Now, before the drivers did qualifying, I had the opportunity to spin a couple laps here in these machines, and let me tell you, it is tough to see anything. And speaking of, Simply Steve has big problems. A huge off-track for the race leader. Simply Steve gonna lose a whole lot of time here to Nick Bieber. Bieber has Wallace and Eat My Dust in tow. Let's see if we can get a cockpit angle out of Wallace. I mean, that's pretty much what these drivers see. There is a massive A-pillar on the right side of the car that blocks the viewport very, very heavily. Now, it looks like it's going to be Notivan. The 128 clicks off the fastest lap so far of this sprint race. A 119.5. Now, we saw drivers in quali getting down to the high 118s. So I'm expecting those lap times to continue to drop here over the duration of this 20-minute opening sprint. There's Simply Steve with Nick Bieber in hot pursuit. Bieber's closed the gap to about 3/4 of a second behind that number 1 machine. Now, I've watched a lot of these drivers compete in all sorts of race cars, and they are consistently fast. Eat My Dust, the number 24, briefly triggered the off-track sensor. And Eat My Dust is going to come down pit road. Didn't see any damage on that 24 machine. I'm wondering what the issue was. As now it's going to be Bieber in second place. The number 10 machine clicks off the fastest lap of the race, gaining another 10th on Simply Steve. Black Bob Wallace, the 666 machine, tries to stay in tow here. And we've got a crash report. This time it's Garlic Dog. The 199 running the Travis Pastrana number. Off track, facing the wrong directions. Let's see what happens. Looks like it's going to be through turn 1. It almost looked like he was taking evasive maneuvers and then locked it up on the brakes. I'm not sure if that was Joe Albanese. Yes, it was Albanese that Garlic Dog was taking evasive maneuvers from. And once again, Simply Steve is off track. Nick Beaver takes over the race lead here. And Wallace suddenly finds himself battling for the second place position. So now your top three: Beaver, Simply Steve, Black Bob Wallace. Let's see if Nick Beaver improves on a 119.29. He does, a 119.09. So Beaver is feeling good here. And now for the first time of the evening, Simply Steve's gonna be playing second fiddle, trying to track down that number 10 machine. Now coming into tonight, actually let me check, that looks like the website has the wrong standing, so let's get that corrected. Another off track, this time it's going to be Captain CK, the number 50 machine. All right, now that we've got the right standings pulled up, coming into tonight, Nick Beaver was your points leader. He was only 4 points ahead of Simply Steve. So this late in the season, this is definitely going to be each driver trying to grab every point they can for championship contention. Now Captain CK, who is having issues with the track limits, has clicked off a 118.52, so he's feeling very fast here. And man, Simply Steve is having compounding issues at Brands Hatch. You see a bit of a block up there from Black Bob Wallace, trying to work his way around that number 1 machine. Wallace currently 9th in the points championship. Steve has another moment. Here comes Wallace battling for second as they are side by side at Brands Hatch. Oh, is Steve gonna yield here? Wallace goes for the high-low, has the nose chopped off by that number 1 machine. This is giving Beaver a huge breakaway. Beaver has 1 win so far this season. And that was the last round, October 25th at Aragon. A little bit further back, there's Urko, who's moved up 1 spot to 33. He has Nodovan right behind the 128, trying to catch up, and it looks like we may see a battle here for that 4th place spot. Looks like Urko pushes a little bit wide there. Nodovan trying to seize the position, capitalize on the small mistakes of Urko and the number 33 machine. And there goes the 128, making the inside line work. Now Captain CK once again sets the fastest lap of 118.47. So CK, who has fallen 10 positions with that early lap 1 pit stop, the unscheduled pit stop, obviously very much has pace, but it's going to be an uphill battle as we've got 11 minutes left to go in the opening sprint. We check back in on Beaver, who is out front by a country mile here. That's over 3.5 second advantage for Beaver over Steve. I'm wondering if Simply Steve now is going into points saving mode. As we check back in on that number 1 machine, you can see the off-track marks scattering all across here at Brands Hatch. So I think if I was Simply Steve in this situation, he's had a bunch of close calls already here this race. He's in second. He's 3.2 seconds back from Beaver. Maybe now's the time to back off the throttle just a little bit, focus on defending and keeping Wallace in that 666 at bay. and then having another go of it in the feature race, which will follow here this evening. Another battle we have out on track. Looks like Biker Pilot starting to get company from AJ there. AJ almost follows him in. And we had another crash report. This time it was Garlic Dog. And it looked like Albanese might have been involved in something too. Thankfully, not too much contact there between Garlic Dog and Albanese. I think Albanese just didn't have anywhere to go, and drivers are definitely feeling it here. Now here comes AJ to challenge Biker Pilot for the 7th place spot. Sending it into turn 1. About a quarter of a second separating those two, but let's go a little bit. Ooh, a big lock up there from Biker Pilot. Well, let's go back to Captain CK. He had company from Albanese, but Albanese down pit road. Garlic stays out. And the two closest drivers we have out on track is Wallace and Nodovan, 3rd and 4th. Wallace only has about 3/10 up over Nodovan. And we got a big crash report. Albanese finds himself pirouetting around in the O2 machine. But let's go back to that battle for 3rd. Wallace versus Nodovan. Separated by about 3/10 of a second, diving into turn 1. Looked like Nodovan was extending the track limits just a little bit there. Having to be very mindful of the gravel. This is giving Simply Steve a bit of a breakaway. Steve's got to be happy here. As we got a report, Prince Adam in the 777 has unfortunately retired, taking a tow back to pit road. That's going to leave 12 of the 13 entries still out on track. Now, despite the lighter entries than normal here on the Wednesday night Sprint Series, the alternating Sprint Series sponsored by Rising Peaks Coffee, still some great racing. As case in point, AJ versus Biker Pilot. AJ taking up the 7th place position. That's going to be his 4th spot grabbed, making him the hard charger so far of the evening. Biker Pilot running 8th right now, qualified 8th. As we've only got 7 minutes left to go. Back to that battle for 3rd. It's been a bit of a slow burn with Wallace and Nodovan. It'll be interesting to see how that story develops over this. Still 3/10 separating the two here, so there could definitely be a battle that will unfold. And it's definitely been a race of attrition so far tonight. We've seen a lot of self-spins, a lot of little bobbles that put drivers out of contention. As I say that, there is, I believe, Downing, number 99. He has an off-track excursion. Here comes AJ in the 45. It's going to try and motor past. AJ's going to be on the outside looking in here. Now Joe Albanese Oh, another big moment there for Albanese. And unfortunately, that's been the story for a few of these drivers so far this season. It seems like it's a very tough car track combination for these drivers to really dial in. I'm not sure how much seat time drivers put in before this event, but here we go, the battle for third. Nodovan looking for an alternative line against Wallace. Nodovan's up 3 spots, wants to make it 4, getting to that final podium position. He knows he's got less than 4.5 minutes to make it happen. Oh, and was there contact? Around goes Wallace, a huge hit. Wallace is going to be extremely wounded. His race is done. He falls back to 7th, make it 8th. What just happened here? Let's get that one queued up and slow down. Was there contact between Nodovan, the 128, and Wallace, the 666? Oh, I want to back that camera angle up a little bit. I want to get a good side shot. There we go, our Rising Peaks coffee. Oh no, no contact at all there. Wallace just dips the tires into the grass just enough. Around he goes, so Nodovan's gonna move up into that final podium spot. I thought there was contact there until we looked at it from the Rising Peaks coffee cam, but man, that's gotta be gutting for Wallace, that 666. Surely he's gonna limp it down pit road, I would think. It looked like he was missing all of the aero. Maybe saving a bunch of weight with all the bodywork just aggressively ripped off that machine. You hate to see it for Wallace. He was running so well here. Now Albanese is going to come back down pit road as John Downey tries to fend off AJ in that battle for 4th. AJ has made it 5 positions gained here. And Nick Beaver out front with that clean air on the front of the number 10 machine, making it look easy. Clicks off on 118.25. We're feeling very, very comfortable here. And here comes AJ challenging Downey in the 99. This is going to be the battle for 5th. Downey having a great race so far, up 4 positions. The tube surfer letting us know that we're Wallace switching to the mid-race low downforce. It's like full-time DRS, really. Oh, where's AJ going? Cutting some grass here. And oh, Downey dips the tires, has a bit of a tank slapper, holds on to it, but just like that, AJ, we thought he was going to be out of this battle for 5th with his mistake, right back in the hunt. Now Albanese is going to return back out on track in the O2 machine to get as many laps as he can. Oh, and was there contact there between AJ and Downey? Downey holding on to the 5th place spot, but AJ looking hungry. Now they've got to be careful. Biker pilot number 42 machine starting to close up, but these 2 guys are running very, very defensive side by side out of turn 1. Is Biker pilot going to be able to capitalize on this fray and find himself with a top 5 finish? We got a minute left to go in this opening sprint race of the night. Downey, AJ, Pilot having a heated battle for 5th. The top 3, it's Beaver, Simply Steve, and Nodovan. AJ is all over the back of that predominantly green and yellow number 99 machine of John Downey. Looking for a way around. We've seen both these drivers make little mistakes. Downey fakes out to the inside line. Oh, and AJ hard on the brakes, makes a little bit of contact in the back of Downey. There goes Biker Pilot, the number 42 machine. We said he might have a chance at taking home a top 5. It's going to be mighty, mighty close, but keep an eye out on AJ. He's been showing a lot of aggressiveness. Now the white flag is out for Nick Beaver. This will be his final lap out on track as we have crossed the 20-minute board. Oh, and a bit of a mistake there from Biker Pilot. There goes AJ. AJ finds himself with a 1 second deficit to Downey. Unless Downey makes a mistake, that is going to be tough to overcome. Checking back in on Nick Beaver. Has built up a very comfortable 5.2 second gap over Simply Steve. Steve about 6 seconds up over Nodovan. Captain CK once again sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:18.14. But CK is going to miss out on the top 8 inverted grid unless he can miraculously find 2 spots here. And here comes Beaver through the final portion of Brands Hatch. Is going to pick up the win. Barney, our flagman, throwing the checkered. Nick Beaver starts the night off strong. And it's going to be Simply Steve and Nodovan rounding out the top 3. We're going to get these top 3 drivers up here to victory lane. Have a brief intermission. And then send them right back out for the 40-minute feature. We've got Beaver. We've got Simply Steve. We're just waiting on Nodovan. It looks like just about every driver will bring it home here. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Nodovan. All right, there we go. Just in the nick of time. So up first, we're going to bring third place. Nodovan, first of all, am I saying that name correctly? Hello? Nodovan, you got a copy? Seeing if we can get some sort of mic response.
Yeah, I gotcha.
There we go. Now we're rocking and rolling. So, first of all, am I saying that name correctly?
I don't know, but it's pronounced Nodovan.
Nodovan. So, no is the answer, and we'll correct that going forward. But Nodovan, a good third-place battle. I mean, it seemed like a podium was going to be out of reach, and the next thing you know, the seas parted, and you put that 128 in the right spot at the right time.
Oh, yeah, I was just kind of cruising around waiting for mistakes, and that happened when Black Blob kind of, I don't know if he got loose or what at going into the last couple corners, but I kind of cruised by him.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well for you. Now, being patient and biding your time, is that going to be the same strategy going into the 40-minute feature event that's about to follow?
That's a tough call because it is a longer race, but we do start like the top 3 start in the back. So really, it's like I know the 2 behind me, they're quicker than me. So my main goal will be to get out in front of all the slower drivers before they do.
Well, awesome. Hopefully it works out well for you. Nodovan, a great result here with third. Before I let you go, get ready for the feature. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make it happen for you?
I just want to shout out to Erico. I've joined the league a while ago, but he was the one who invited me, and he raced me pretty clean. So just want to give a shout out to him for running the league.
Awesome. Well said. Welcome to the top 3, and hope to have you back up here following the feature.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Nodovan bringing it home in third, but look who we have next. It's going to be Mr. Simply Steve bringing it home in the second place spot. Steve, we got to keep meeting like this.
I'm doing my best to keep getting here. So let's try.
Well, it seems like it's working out well for you. We've said it before, you're fast in just about any car I've seen you hop in, and it seems like between you and Beaver, the championship's going to be tied up here at the front.
Yeah, I mean, try to keep it that way. Try to do. I don't always have a ton of time to practice, but try to put in some laps before the race to, have a good race. It's like you're not showing up with nothing. So.
Well, it seems like it's working out well for you now. Still, correct me if I'm wrong, looking for the first one of the season, you had the pace in the opening sprint at Brands Hatch, but it seemed like consistency or maybe the markers were a little bit off for you and resulting in some exciting situations you were in.
Yeah, just pushing a little bit too hard to try to extend the gap and pushing the car just understeers. So yeah, just went off a couple of times and couldn't keep it as consistent as I would have liked. So Beaver took advantage and had to defend from Black Bob as well. So yeah, I definitely should have been a little bit more consistent. I think I could have come away with a win, but it is what it is,
Now, do you think that data you kind of took and learned the hard way in the sprint is going to pay dividends in the feature, kind of knowing what to do and what not to do?
Yeah, man, anyone's guess. I think being consistent is a longer race. Try to keep the X's in check because you have a lot longer to go. Any of the off tracks will really start to add up here. Yeah, just try to not understeer off the track, which is a little tough in these cars in the set. So.
Well, Simple Steve, I'm looking forward to the action. I know the fans are at home as well. Before I let you go and get ready for this feature, who do you want to give a shout to that helped to bring home second for you tonight?
I'm gonna give a shout out to my teammate, Eat My Dust, and any of my friends and loved ones that are watching. Yeah.
Awesome. Steve, always a pleasure and hope to have you back up for the feature, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That was Simply Steve bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Beaver. Welcome to the top spot with Love Seat, man. A great race and extending that points lead. And I believe the only driver... No, now you're going to be tied for the most amount of wins so far this season.
Oh, cool. That's a fun stat. Yeah, it's good to be up here. I hate what happened in turn one. I feel really bad. I've watched the replay back about 6 times, and I tried to back out. It looks like I tried to back out of getting into my teammate there, captain, but I'm happy for myself, but super bummed for him.
Yeah, he definitely had the pace. It's going to be interesting to see what type of charge he can mount in the feature event. But we know points are extremely important this late in the season. I mean, you and Steve were separated by, I think it was something like 4 points coming into this race. And it definitely seems like it's been anybody's game so far. I mean, you, Urko, Bill, Wallace, all these guys have brought home wins. And we haven't seen anybody bring home a back-to-back in one night yet. Do you think this could be the opportunity you're looking for to maybe get a sprint and a feature win?
Ooh, that would be cool. Kind of cross that one off the league list for the season. But you're right. There are so many fast drivers in this field tonight. My special shout out tonight is going to go to Eriko. I don't know. I always watch him and I've known him for a few years now, and watching his pace increase over that amount of time has been so awesome. So hopefully I will get to run, if I can catch him at least, run side by side with him a little bit. I think that's going to be fun. But yeah, tough crowd. Everyone's quick. And I'm excited to see what Love Seat can do to get back through the field.
Yeah, coming into tonight, you guys were third in the team points behind Bong Life Motorsports and the Speed Squad crew. What's it going to take to try and... Right now, you're in the top spot for the individual championship. What's going to take for the team to grab some points here, leaving the raceway?
Yeah, I think just getting through the race clean will. You'll get a good position based off that. Just keep it on track. 40 minutes is a long time. I know it's tough when you're behind someone, you're stuck behind someone for maybe 2 or 3 laps, and you're getting really impatient. But we just got to be sure that we keep that patience. Going into this, going throughout the race, because mistakes will happen from other drivers. We just want to be sure that we aren't those drivers making the mistakes, right?
Yeah, very well said. Nick, it's always a pleasure watching you drive anything you hop into on the sim. It's even cooler having you up here in the top spot. Before I let you go, get ready for this feature. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make this win possible for you?
Team Love Seat for sure. Captain CK was kind of my motivator. I bought this track last night. He set a time, and between last night and tonight, I ran probably 100 laps. Just trying to catch him. So he was definitely my inspiration to pick up the pace a little bit. You know, of course, there's a little bit of internal monologue saying, "Yes, you got to beat him. You got to beat him." But it's a team effort, and whether he knows it or not, he helped a lot.
Awesome. Nick, always a pleasure, buddy, for both you and the Love Seat Racing crew. Best of luck in the feature and hope to have you back up here later tonight, my friend.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was Nick Beaver bringing it home in the top spot for the sprint, accompanied by Simply Steve and Notavan, who we've got that name corrected now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here with more Just Two Idiots Cup Series at Brands Hatch. All right, race fans, we are back for the final event of the evening as we get ready to send these drivers out for the feature event. 40 minutes of racing, non-stop action. We're expecting one pit stop. As a reminder, the Sprint Series sponsor, Rising Peaks Coffee. Use their website. You can get fresh beans, fresh grinds directly to your door. Check them out, risingpeakscoffee.com. Link is in the description below. And if you use the coupon code J2I, you will get 15% off your order and a special shout out in the next broadcast. You can't beat it. Drivers are lining up. The top 8 have been inverted. It's Eat My Dust, AJ, Biker Pilot, John Downey, Notavan, Urko, Beaver, Steve. And it looks like all 13 drivers are back out on track here. Now keep an eye out on Captain CK, that number 50 machine. Qualified second here tonight, leading to the events. Had a very rough going in the sprint race, but obviously has the pace to run up front. Notavan, Simply Steve, Beaver are going to be right here in the meat grinder. Speaking of, you already see the smoke waking up as drivers checking up, trying to get a little bit of heat in these tires and the brakes, most importantly. We are lined up behind that iRacing safety car. And I believe that is going to be Eat My Dust. I believe trying to get some heat in those tires. So here we go. Drivers lined up, ready to go. Fire and safety car should be making its way down pit road. There we go, the late dive from the Porsche. And here we go, Eat My Dust sets the stage. We look for Barney, our flagman, and the green flag is flying here at Brands Hatch. Eat My Dust quick to get set up for turn 1. Now it is a 40-minute feature event, so drivers, in theory, will be a little bit more patient. As I say that, no was the answer as far as patience. Urko involved in an incident. Wallace, Captain CK, Prince Adam all off track. Urko, I think, gets the worst of it. Biker Pilot holding on to third, but has a lot of company with John Downey in tow. We pan back to Nick Beaver, won the opening sprint race. Trying to get through clean here as he's pulling up alongside, right behind Black Bob Wallace, Captain CK. You can see the corner workers in the orange jumpsuits not really doing a good job watching the traffic light. They're more having a good chat and a bit of a brouhaha, enjoying the racing. Wallace off track, I think almost got into Beaver rejoining. Now, we talked about in the sprint, it was definitely a race of attrition. Captain CK was a great example that had absolute raw pace, but wasn't able to quite string those laps together consistently. Following the sprint race, you also heard drivers letting us know that the car wanted to push a little bit with the track temp and the setup that they're currently running. It's going to be interesting to see how tire management plays a factor in that as well. Now, we were told before this main event that drivers would be stopping for fuel, and it is extremely unlikely to see anybody take the tires during their pit stops. As we're about to have a 3-car battle for third, it's Biker Pilot, John Downey, Simply Steve. Donovan sitting in 6th. He's got Captain CK and Nick Beaver right in tow. And it looks like Downey and Simply Steve making it 2-for-1 against Biker Pilot. So Downey up into third, Steve right behind, and it's a bit of a tighter pack here heading into turn 1. There's Beaver back in 8th, sets the fastest lap, a 119.6, quickly getting up to speed. Just saw a bit of a lockup, not sure if that was from Downey or Simply Steve, either 3rd or 4th. I would tend to think Downey is now, Steve has closed that gap within 0.2 of a second. Oh, and no, it's going to be a multiple car pileup. Downey and Simply Steve, I see, pointing the wrong direction. Let's get that replay queued up for the fans at home. But let's see, it starts with one driver spinning. That was John Downey. I wonder if Steve maybe got a little bit of help from behind. As Biker Pilot also involved in an incident. And Prince Adam's going to come around right into the Thunderdome on board with that 777 machine. Able to get through nice and clean though. So Adam is going to grab 4 spots the easy way. Now we talked about the redemption arc. Captain CK seems to have it going here. so far has gained 7 spots. And is putting the pressure on Nodovan in that 128. Now Nodovan wants backs-to-back podiums here. Captain CK wants a bit of redemption on his end. Trying to get the buffering corrected up here in the broadcast booth. Urko trying to mount a charge back towards the front as Prince Adam in his sights. Oh, who is that off track? I hear somebody bending it right ahead of Urko. That was Prince Adam with a wild off-track excursion. I don't know if Adam ever lifted there. Spent the last 5 seconds off the tarmac, but still footing the throttle. Nodovan has company from a very hungry Captain CK. Beaver clicking off the fastest lap on 119.28. Now Beaver right behind this battle for third with Nodovan and CK. It's going to be close. Now Beaver just clicked off that fastest lap of the race and not really using much of a draft from CK and Nodovan. Wondering if maybe we're going to see that number 10 machine hanging back a little bit here, watching this third place battle unfold and not wanting to interject himself into a possible foray with a teammate. Onboard from Beaver, as he's gonna have a great bird's eye view. I mean, you could barely see Nodovan ahead of Captain CK going into turn 1, as Beaver once again sets the fastest lap of the race, and it seems relatively effortlessly, as no, Captain CK and Nodovan, huge contact. Both drivers able to get back out on track. And Beaver will slot up into third, a bit of a gimme there. Now CK and Steve. Right there together. Prince Adam taking the scenic route. Let's see if we can get a replay lined up here of the incident into turn 2. Oh no, CK just lost it under the brakes. Does a bit of a tail tap there into Nodovan. Hopefully the drivers don't have too much damage on these machines. These prototypes aren't known for really beating and banging about. And I think Beaver is going to try and put the hammer down here. Now I'm not expecting a fast lap time, but he does it anyway in 18.864. The lap prior was a 119.04. And as I say that, I think that was that Nodovan we just saw off track. Nodovan's going to lose another spot here to Black Bob Wallace. I'm wondering if there's some damage here on Nodovan's 128. If there is, I would expect him to go for an undercut and come down pit road a bit early compared to the rest of the field, but he's got fuel numbers he's trying to hit to make it till the end. We'd expect the fuel window to open around that 20-minute mark of this feature event. Bring a check back in with Eat My Dust, who has been running this race pretty much uncontested from the beginning. AJ sitting in second, that number 45 machine, 2 1/4 seconds back. Donovan is going to come down pit road early. We'll keep an eye out on the timer to see how long he's on pit road for, or in his pit stall for, I should say. I want to check something here. Drivers do have 2 fast repairs available to him. So I'd imagine Donovan's going to get in and out of his pit stall relatively quickly in that 128 if he remembered to hit the fast repair button. Been in the stall for 18 seconds so far. I wonder if this is going to be a fuel stop plus a fast repair. Albanese finds himself off track. A good save there. Almost lose. Never mind. He actually does throw it away. And Albanese comes to a total stop. I think he hits the magic Alt F4. I'm having fun keyboard combination. And I believe Albanese is going to put it back in the virtual hauler in that O2 machine. 2 closest drivers we have out on track. John Downey in 7th, Urko in 8th. Both drivers are down 3 spots from where they started, as Beaver continues to click off absolute heater of lap times, a 118.39. I think Urko's going to take his time here, build up some momentum, and keep the pressure on Downey, who has a pretty big lockup there. Looks like Urko's falling back just a little bit. Then 3/4 of a second of Downey. And if we go back up front, AJ, who is running in second, now has company from Nick Beaver. I wonder if Beaver had a bit of a bobble there. He was within a second of the number 45 machine. We've got a problem for John Downey. Off track, this is going to be Urko's chance to strike for that 7th place position. Urko all over the back of the green and yellow number 99 machine. Glued nose to tail, less than 2/10 separating the two. Looks like Urko is going to take a peek to the inside line. Backs out of it, opting to follow behind Downey for a little while longer. But let's go further up front. We've got a battle for second, AJ and Beaver. Now, talking to Beaver, no driver so far this season has went back-to-back in the sprint series, picking up the sprint win and the feature win in one night. Can Beaver be that driver? He has gained 6 positions so far. Now, Captain CK, our hard charger of the evening so far, he's up 7 spots. And as Beaver continues his charge towards the front, Downey and Urko throwing haymakers at each other. Back and forth they go. Tough to make moves in these high downforce machines in the slower portions of the racetrack, especially when drivers were telling us how bad the front end was pushing. Even during the sprint, I can't imagine it's going to get better in the feature here. Urko trying to close that gap back within 0.3 of a second. I heard a little bit of gravel getting kicked up. Not sure if the driver dipped those tires or maybe just kicking dirt off the asphalt. We've had several drivers bringing gravel back out onto the racetrack. Now, as we get closer and closer to the 20-minute mark, I would imagine if Urko thinks he has the raw speed compared to Downey, Urko may come in a lap prior than that number 99 machine just to look for some clean track here. Eat My Dust still the race leader. As Downey has a bit of a bobble there. Here comes Urko trying to look to the outside line, carrying some corner speed. Oh, it's going to be tight as they're wheel to wheel. Urko on the outside, Downey on the inside. Urko trying to carry some corner speed. He might be able to do it here. Getting set up for the right-hander. He shows ahead by a 10. And it looks like Urko going to move up in that 7th place spot. Is Downey going to fire back here? Not even to the halfway mark, and we've got some great racing going on all across the track. Now let's check back in on Eat My Dust. You can see Beaver and AJ behind. Black Bob Wallace, the 666 machine, comes down pit road at the 16-minute mark of this 40-minute feature. Beaver in second has been very slowly whittling away at the gap that Eat My Dust holds. Looking for that first back-to-back here of the season. Gotta agree with the tube surfer here. A beautiful overtake by Urko. Let's see, My Dust last time by a 1:19.23, Beaver a 1:18.91. Captain CK last time by a 1:18.44. The pace starting to get a little bit faster there. Beaver right at the cusp of that 1 second difference between himself and the race leader. You can see Captain CK in the background. CK really wants some redemption here. Whoa, and we might have a battle for the lead. John Downey is going to come down pit road with the 17-minute board up in the air. And here's the battle for the lead, ladies and gentlemen. Eat My Dust has led every lap so far. Beaver looking for those back-to-back wins here at Brands Hatch. My Dust number 24, Beaver the number 10. Hard Charger still Captain CK's worked his way up into third, 8 positions gain. On board with Nick Beaver. A little bit wider shot inside that cockpit. And Hans able to make it happen here. Beaver within 1/4 of a second come out the start-finish line straight. Stretching the legs, that number 10, Simply Steve, coming down pit road for his 1 green flag stop, scheduled green flag stop. Beaver trying some alternative lines, trying to swoop back in low and maybe try and cut underneath that 24 machine, but Beaver in the sprint said it's going to be a night of patience here at Brands Hatch. They lost about 1/4 of a second to third place Captain CK, and I don't think Beaver's going to wait much longer. No, pulls up alongside Eat My Dust, but doesn't have the drive he was looking for. I'm curious to see if Captain CK is going to interject himself into the top 2 party. We're all watching with bated breath. Oh, Beaver. Beaver comes in for the undercut right at the halfway mark. So I think Beaver may know that he has the raw pace here and just looking for some clean track. Now, every driver who stopped so far has been around that 12 to 13 second pit time. Donovan was a 38.8 second pit stall time, so I think he might have had a little bit of damage there and opted not to take the fast repair. I'm not sure if I agree with that call, as Eat My Dust has a huge moment. Here comes Captain CK. So Captain CK is going to make it 10 positions gain, capitalizing on Eat My Dust's brief mistake. Eat My Dust, though, not going to take it laying down. Looks to fire back against CK. Eat My Dust down pit road. Hard on the binders, crossing the commitment cones. CK stays out. AJ stays out, moving back up into second. Now Beaver was in and out of his pit stall, 12.6 seconds. That is about tied identically with Simply Steve, so I'd imagine that's about as good as it gets on pit stop. Urko moves back up into third, opting to stay out a little while longer. So the top 3 drivers, Captain CK, AJ, and Urko, have yet to box. Beaver down in 4th. I'm interested to see how this is going to shake down here. Captain CK just clicks off the fastest lap of the race, so he's enjoying the clean air, a 118.13. So I think the move here, he's immediately answered though by Nick Beaver on his first flying lap after the lap 15 pit stop. I was going to say, if CK thinks he can really hammer down here, I think he's going to stay out as long as possible, running that tank as low as he possibly can, but he's right now, if I'm looking at this right, 24.3 seconds up over Beaver. A pit lane time is about 32 seconds. So I think that's going to put Beaver back in the lead. DK, AJ, Urko. Oh, still staying out. I thought CK was off track there, but there is a bit of rumble strips halfway hidden in the grass. Now, it doesn't look like anybody set the fastest lap of the race last time by, but AJ and Eat My Dust clicked off their personal fastest laps of the race. DK about 4 seconds up over AJ. AJ 13 seconds up over Urko. As we are well past the halfway mark, a little bit over 15 minutes left to go in this main event. Oh, a bit of a tire dip there from CK. Has to be careful the attrition doesn't become a factor. As Captain CK comes down pit road for his one scheduled stop. Oh, a huge lockup on the commitment cones, hopefully not incurring a pit road penalty. AJ will take over the race lead, staying out another lap. What about Urko? Urko down pit road. We're going to keep an eye out on Captain CK's pit lane time to see if he did in fact get a penalty. In and out of his pit stall, 13.4 seconds, so I don't think CK received the penalty after all. Beaver's going to move up into second. Where is CK going to be after this pit stop? As Eat My Dust is closing the gap. No, CK, not what he was looking for. Falls back to third. As I can't quite tell, but I believe that's lap traffic right behind CK. Simply Steve showing in fifth, 2.5 seconds back. So now it's AJ, Beaver, Eat My Dust, 1, 2, 3. But we know AJ needs to come down pit road very, very soon. He will not make this race on fuel. AJ's down pit road. Where is he going to be as Beaver? And Eat My Dust hammering down. Captain CK right behind Eat My Dust. So now as the pit stops are complete, it's Beaver, Eat My Dust, Captain CK. But from second place back, it is all but decided. Second to fifth place, it looks like Simply Steve. He's right behind AJ. AJ within 9/10 of Captain CK. And CK is about a half second back from Eat My Dust. So with less than 13 minutes left to go in this main event, the top five still trying to work themselves out. Right now as Nick Beaver's race to lose, he's 4.6 seconds up over Eat My Dust. As Simply Steve looks to be putting the pressure on AJ. And you can see the other battle for second, CK versus Eat My Dust. Steve has a bit of a bobble there. He's going to lose quite a bit of ground to AJ. Checking back in on Eat My Dust. CK still about a half second back from that lighter blue and red, number 24. DK closing the ground here. Has to be mindful, after the sprint race, I think for CK, a top 3 would be fantastic. Maybe not worth pressing the issue too hard, but always tough to tell a racer that, as Captain CK is our current hard charger out on track. Up 8 positions gained so far. On board with Captain CK, who's having quite a comeback story so far this evening. We're about 45 seconds away from making it 10 minutes left to go in this feature event. And CK on the ragged edge here. You see him working that wheel. Getting dangerously close to dipping the tires off of the racing surface. And you can see the grass being thrown up from Emi Dust, an apt username for the position that CK finds himself in. Now CK didn't spend too much time chasing the draft there of Emi Dust. Feeling very confident in his line choice into turn 1, but Emi Dust going to throw a pretty hardy block into turn 2, and look who has joined the party. It's AJ and Simply Steve. As Emi Dust and Captain CK continue to battle, it's going to slow the pace down, allowing the 4th and 5th place drivers a chance to get themselves in the mix. And Nick Beaver's got to be happy about that as he sits out front, has extended that gap to just about 5.5 seconds on the rest of the field. I'm very interested to see how this is going to break down. This is where drivers have to be very careful not to push themselves and the machines too hard. We just saw AJ, that 45, kicking off some grass with a little bit of an off track. I can tell you as a racer myself, it's absolutely gutting to find yourself in the virtual hauler when you've done so well throughout the event. Looks like CK once again mounting the offensive against Emi Dust. I'm trying to get confirmation here. I believe it's Emi Dust and Simply Steve, 2 teammates. Yes, that is correct. Both drivers racing with Speed Squad. Captain CK does not have any support around him. He's going to be all on his own, battling for second while also trying to fend off 4th and 5th place. Less than 10 minutes left to go in the final feature event of the evening here at the Just 2 Idiots Cup Series. Sprint Series every other Wednesday night, sponsored by Rising Peaks Coffee. Oh, here we go. Emi Dust and CK have a battle, as it looks like Steve and AJ also going to have a battle back there for 4th. Now that could be Simply Steve thinking, hey, I've got better pace than AJ. Let's get this pass going. So in the final, let's call it final 7 minutes of this race, maybe make a charge for 3rd. Plus, I think Simply Steve wants to get up there and lend his support to his teammate if at all possible. But the field definitely bunching up here. Beaver's pulled a 6-second gap on the rest of the field. He came into tonight the points leader. Beaver was about 4 points up over Simply Steve. And Beaver looking good to extend that championship lead. Now you heard Beaver, he's right now the championship contender, the top spot for the individual. He is looking to Captain CK to grab some good points here in the feature. And bring that Love Seat Racing team further up in the standings, trying to replace Bong Life and Speed Squad, who run 1st and 2nd. Love Seat again 3rd in points in the team championship. Backmarker Motorsports in 4th. And Zero Fox, F-A-W-K-E-S given. Zero Fox given. Currently 5th in the championship for the team. Gotta be mindful of these team names. They'll get you sometimes here at the Just 2 Idiots Cup Championship. As a reminder to the fans, if you're looking to get on the action, we've got the website linked below as well. They run an alternative schedule every other Wednesday, swapping between their Endurance Series and their Sprint Series. That was Nick Beaver, clicked off a 118.04. Enjoying the clean air, and the battle for second and the battle for fourth still very much underway. You're watching Eat My Dust and Captain CK, the main focus on screen. About a second behind them, AJ and Simply Steve staying linked up here. Now I'm sure CK would love nothing more than to go 1-2 with his teammate Beaver after the rough opening of the night here at Brands Hatch. But Eat My Dust looks like he's feeling a little bit more confident in that final section of corners, gaining more ground, putting about a half second on himself and CK, but CK closes the gap back up into 1 and 2. I guess that's technically turn 3 at the top of the hill here. We've got, I believe that's Prince Adam in the 777 join us in the spectator area. And his night was unfortunately brought to an ending with Long Island on around the lap 6 mark. So we'll try and get that replay queued up. Oh, Simply Steve and AJ side by side. Looks like Steve's gonna make the pass and make it stick. I've got the replay queued up of Prince Adam having an end of the night, but I don't want to quite pull it up as we watch the battle for second. DK way deep into turn 1, trying to carry as much speed as he can up the hill. Eat My Dust is going to guard that inside line, making CK take the long way around. And now Steve and AJ joining the party. Simply Steve can see his teammate ahead, knowing that Eat My Dust could use a little bit of support. Now I want to get this replay queued up, but the action's just too good in the battle for second. Captain CK looks hungry for a pass. I think we've got time here. Let's get the replay queued up. That was Prince Adam, so that's not going to be it. It was in turn 2, he said. Well, there's your problem. Prince Adam was trying to make some LMP4s out on the track here at Brands Hatch. And we've got a 3-car battle for second as Beaver once again clipped off the fastest lap. Oh, 1:17.58. Beaver is flying here. And we've got a 3-car battle going on for second. Eat My Dust, Simply Steve. Oh, Steve and CK are going to have a little bit of contact there into turn 1. Simply Steve is here to save the day of Eat My Dust, taking the pressure off of his teammate. AJ in that 45 can see a podium just ahead. I think he's going to keep the pressure on. I wonder if Nick Beaver knows of the absolute shenanigans going on behind him right now. You've got second, third, fourth, and fifth separated by less than a second and less than 2 minutes left to go of this feature event at Brands Hatch. Right now it's Beaver and Captain CK, both up 7 spots. We know CK has the pace to run a podium time, but he's going to have his work cut out. As I think Simply Steve is going to be on a little bit of blocker duty for Eat My Dust. They want those 2 cars to block up second and third. You can see drivers trying to shake the draft behind them. AJ has a bird's eye view of what's going on ahead. White flag is out here at Brands Hatch. I'm wondering if our flagman Barney knows that we're going to hit that timer before Beaver crosses the start-finish line. Beaver is gone. He is 13 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. And right now, all eyes are on this wild battle for second place back. The final podium positions are going to be right down to the wire. Now I'm curious, we saw the white flag. Oh, is CK a little bit of an off track? AJ is going to slide up into fourth. As Beaver, yes, the checkered flag is going to be thrown. Man, that was down to the second. Nick Beaver brings home a massive win here. It looks like it's going to be Eat My Dust bringing home second. And as these drivers give me motion sickness, Simply Steve will round out the top three. Beaver's going to enjoy the cool-down lap. The first driver to make it back-to-back wins so far of this Rising Peaks Coffee Sprint Series. We're waiting on Eat My Dust and Simply Steve to join us in the podium room. Looks like we've got the gang all here. And let's get some sweet, sweet carnage queued up on the replay for our drivers. Up first, it's going to be Simply Steve, the number one machine. Steve, I mean, a top three at the very end, and that was all but decided for the entire race. I mean, it's down to the wire to figure out who's going to be on the podium here.
Yeah, that was super exciting. A lot of teamwork from my teammate, like allowed that to happen. But yeah, it was very chaotic race just in general, but super fun.
Now, with how the sprint race kind of went for everybody, were you expecting to have that many drivers still in at the end of the feature, or were you expecting things to be a little bit more single file and spread out at this one?
I mean, I don't know what I expected, honestly. I mean, it's really tough to pass here. The like, especially on the back straight, it's really hard to keep it close with all the aero wash. So you end up getting close for a pass and then not being able to make it. So I think I would have expected a little bit more single file, but I know me and AJ had a good little battle. We were side by side for about a lap, and that was pretty fun. So I don't know. It definitely wasn't what I expected.
Well, Steve, still a great result, a great points night. You've got to be pumped for you and your teammates, locking up some podium spots and walking out of Brands Hatch with some pretty decent points for you and the guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I think this might be Speed Squad's first double podium, and which is awesome.
Awesome. Steve, always a pleasure, buddy. Anybody you want to shout out before I let you go and celebrate with the rest of the boys?
I mean, it's a shout out to Lucas, Eat My Dust. That's he pretty much allowed me to be here on the podium today. So
awesome. Steve, always a pleasure, bud, and everything you race, and hope to have you back up here more often.
Thanks for having me.
That was Simply Steve bringing it home in third. Up next, Mr. Eat My Dust bringing it home in second and finding some surprise help from Simply Steve there at the end.
Yeah, James, great to be up here. Did not expect this at the beginning of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it was a real rough go for a lot of guys. I mean, you and really all of this, the Speed Squad were having a rough go. Steve had a pretty good race, started things off, but it's been a bit of a dry spell for you. Well, I guess it was last race at Oh, what track was that? I'm drawing a blank. Aragon.
Aragon.
Yeah, you had a second there, so starting to get a little bit more momentum later on this season.
Yeah. I excel at driving crappy setups, I guess. So the fact that this is a fixed setup really helps play to my strengths, I think.
Well, it seemed like it worked out well for you. Now, during the sprint race, we heard a lot of the drivers talking about the car pushing. Obviously, that must have played to your factor. Did the car feel any different between the sprint and the feature here tonight with the longer run?
There the last several laps. God, I think it's turn 4. Kind of coming back up the hill, I really started getting some tail happiness out of the car, out of the tires. But it was push, and then right the last couple laps, it started to really wear out the rears.
Well, it seemed like it worked out very well for you and your teammates. Steve said this might be the first double podium of the team so far, so you've got to be ecstatic, all things considered, how things are ending the night here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, it's a good end for the team. Way to keep on pressure for Captain and Beaver.
Well, Eat My Dust, before I let you sign off and celebrate with the rest of the hooligans, mostly Steve, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring home this second place possible for you?
Shout out Steve, obviously my teammate. The couple corners that I could fight with Beaver, and then Captain for keeping it a clean race there for the last several laps on track. And then shout out to my dad watching as well.
Awesome. Eat My Dust, Lucas, always a pleasure, bud, and hope to have you back up here more throughout the season.
Perfect. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Eat My Dust, bringing it home in second. But up next, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. The man, the myth, the legend, Nick Beaver. Back-to-back wins here. We talked about it earlier on the night, and able to go out, execute, and walk away with a huge lead at the end of this thing.
Yeah, that ended up being pretty good. I guess I don't really know how. I don't think I made maybe one on-track pass. The rest were incidents to get around, and then the last one for the lead was an undercut through the pits. This track, and you saw it with second through fifth, I bet. They were in a line. It is so hard to pass here. I was watching the four of them on my relative, and they looked nose to tail the whole time. It's tough here, so I guess you got to use strategy to get around someone.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that because we talked about it during the race. We weren't sure if you were aware of the absolute shenanigans going on behind you. I mean, up until the absolute wire, the podium was very far from decided, assuming you didn't do something spectacularly silly and throw away the lead. But yeah, I mean, there were 2, 3 guys, 4 guys really, all battling out nose to tail, and I know your teammate was mounting quite a charge back up towards the front too at this one.
Yeah, he was, and that's exactly why I was watching it. I had my eyes on the very left bottom corner where the speed delta is, the lap time delta, and the very bottom right hand corner where the relative is. I was rooting Captain on the whole time silently. We don't yell at each other. We hardly talk even, but in chat. But I was rooting him on, and I knew what if he were to get past Eat My Dust, I think he would have come for me. He had so much speed. So I was cheering for him the whole time. I had my eyes glued. I wish I could have been part of the battle, but a win is pretty cool too.
Now, with you being out front, you're able to put down the fastest lap of the race, a 1:17.58. I mean, blistering fast, almost a full half second, if not more, than any other driver is able to do tonight. Is that part of having the focus just on running clean laps out front, or is the clean air attributed to that? What may allowed you to put down such a heater of a lap time during that stint?
Yeah, so the gap to second helped. I felt no pressure, but I was thinking back, and I pointed out practice a little bit in the last interview, but last night during practice I ran 74 laps and I didn't feel consistent at all. I could not get the car down, and I was complaining to Captain about that today, and he points out, and I complain about the car often, but he pointed out to me that I'm probably overdriving it, and those words stuck in my head through the last half of this race. I kept seeing him say, "You're probably overdriving," and when I started backing up my corners and letting the car roll, it's a downforce car, but it doesn't really act like one. So if you can, keep in mind that slow corners is mechanical grip. Slow corners need to be slow, and medium corners need to be a little less than medium speed. It's just really weird, but the words he gave me today really helped, because I love to overdrive this thing. We have the Super Formula League tomorrow, and that's super high downforce, and you can just go balls out. So to go from that into this, it really is a different mindset. So yeah, I feel bad for Captain. He didn't have a great night, not a great end there, but he really helped me get to where I was, and especially with the lap times.
Well, still, all in all, a great result for both you and the team, scoring some much-needed points at this one, walking away with a commanding individual championship lead after Brands Hatch. So the first back-to-back, you've got your teammates scoring some solid points, mounting a charge. All in all, a great night for you and the guys. And Nick, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make the first back-to-back of the season possible for you?
Well, definitely most of all, Captain CK. Remembering those words that I am overdriving. Do not overdrive this car. And then thank you, James, for joining us. Again, still thinking about Mason. I hope his recovery is okay, but thank you, James, for filling in. It's always nice to have you here. And then a shout out to the top 5: Eat My Dust, Simply Steve, AJ, Captain CK. Watching those guys, and look, even Black Bob was right there at the end, according to the standings here. So it was a tight field, and good job, everyone. I love seeing a thin field, but tight racing regardless.
Well, Nick, always a pleasure, buddy. Great talking to you, and I always wish you the best of success in any car you're in. Hopefully I see you tomorrow night, but again, always a pleasure, and a huge congrats on the back-to-back here tonight.
All right, thanks, James. Yep, I will see you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. That was Nick Beaver bringing it home in the top spot for the feature. He was accompanied by Eat My Dust and Simply Steve, finishing third. On behalf of Rising Peaks Coffee, J2ICS, and Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name has been James East. Thank you all so much for spending your Wednesday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.